7 pitch. Harper hits one in the air, left center field. Back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life. It is bedlam at the bank. Swung on, crushed, and the Phillies are going to lead it 4-0. Now Harper sends one in the air, way back to right center. That one's gone. This place explodes. It's good. Right center field. Lightning strikes. Right field. Segura's out. Castellanos out. And the Philadelphia Phillies are going to the World Series.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Government Podcast. Colin Daly, Ben Goldstein. My arm is exhausted. My brain is exhausted. But there are some people who are not exhausted, Ben, and that is the 26th of the active Phillies who carried this team to the National League Championship Series for the second year in a row. It was the San Diego Padres in 2022. This year, they're going to stay out west, facing the Arizona Diamondbacks. 7-game series. The stage is big, the moment is big, and the fightings are big, Ben. What was it like at the games?
The fightings certainly are big. And man, what an absolute showing against the quote-unquote best offense in baseball history in the Atlanta Braves. They tied the record for the most home runs in a single season in MLB history. They hit 3 home runs a series in 4 games? Yeah, 3 home runs in 4 games. They scored over 100 runs in the first inning. I don't remember the exact number, but an incredible number of runs in the first inning of the games this regular season. 0 runs in the first inning of the NLDS. The Phillies pitching was incredible against this Braves lineup, and the Phillies ran 11 home runs in 4 games. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there was a great offensive showing from Philadelphia. Obviously, the Braves did not play their best this weekend. There are going to be people out there trying to tell you that it was because of the extended break that they had. I think that's ridiculous. The Houston Astros are fine. The Baltimore Orioles have a separate problem. The Los Angeles Dodgers key players just forgot how to hit. Freeman and Betts went a combined 1 for 21, and I believe that one hit was an infield single.
Correct.
And the Atlanta Braves, unfortunately, did not have it going for them this weekend either. I don't think the downtime affected the Braves, but I definitely think that the momentum carried the Phillies.
Yeah, that's part of it with this this scheduling is that if you're hot coming out of the wild card, you're going to stay hot, and that's why it's kind of also hard to take a 5-day break in baseball, especially heading into the postseason, playing a hot team. And the Phillies were coming off their best 2 games played in the season against the Marlins. I mean, those were 2 incredible games. And they come into Atlanta and steal one in game 1. I forget what the exact final score was, but it was a real showing in that game 1. Game 2, obviously, didn't go the Phillies' way. They got off to a great start, though. Game 3 was home run palooza for the Phillies. And that last night in game 4, Phillies pitching pulled it out once again. An incredible performance this past week by the Phillies, and they continue to play their best ball in October. I mean, we've been saying this for the past 2 seasons, but there's just something about this team when it comes to October. They are just built for October. They built for Red October. They built to see 45,000 people at Citizens Bank Park every night. And man, and really, this team is 45,026 people. 26 guys in the dugout, 45,000 in the stands. It's incredible what goes on in this city with this baseball team. And I think
and I think I want to point out as we get into the heart of our pod today, the Phillies offense, right?
Yeah.
They're winning games. And in the playoffs, that's all we care about, right? If you go 0 for 4, every day is a new day. We're not going to worry about statistics and the numbers, and it doesn't make sense in the postseason. It's like playing a mini season, kind of in and of itself. But I do want to take a second to look at the numbers, because if you compare the Phillies, people will tell you that 2022 is a fluke for the Phillies. Some people are going to tell you that the team wasn't that good. Some people might even tell you that the team this year is no better or even worse than it was last year. And unfortunately for those people, that is simply not true. Here, I'm just going to read off something I have pulled up on both sides of my screen here. Their numbers from the postseason right now compared to the numbers from all of the postseason last year. JT Realmuto last year was hitting 215 with a 661 OPS. So far, he's hitting 273 with a 969 OPS. Brandon Marsh, 179, 683, 357, 1043. Bryson Stott, 238, 673. This season, last season, 136, 482. Alec Boehm, postseason, he only hit 224. The numbers aren't there yet, but I have confidence this postseason he's going to bring that up. And I could keep going with this. Nick Castellanos, 391, 1440 this postseason. Last postseason, his OPS, 478 average, just 185. Gene Segura, 214, 500. Matt Vierling, 154. Edmundo Sosa, 250. I mean, across the board, the numbers are better from 2023. It's not even up for debate. And I mean, Kyle Schwarber has still had some, he's only hitting 160, but he has had some pretty big base hits for the Phillies in the earlier part of the postseason. He had a couple, I wouldn't call them huge hits, but relevant hits in the Marlins series that really helped propel him to that victory. So calling this Phillies offense a fluke or an exception is just ridiculous. Can't stand it.
Yeah, I mean, this offense is the real deal. And you just read off the numbers. Like, if any team is going to win the World Series for the Phillies, it's going to be this year. You see how Harper's been playing. He obviously got that extra motivation from Orlando Arcia, which we'll get to in a little bit. Trey Turner is playing great baseball. Again, his defense needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but the offensive side of the ball, he's been producing. He had 3 home runs in his last 2 games.
He's hitting 500.
2 home runs in the last 2 games. And, oh my God, Nick Castellanos, I'm wearing his jersey right now. The
As
man
you
is
should
on a different planet. 4 home runs in his last 2 games. He's just, all the guy is doing is hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And it's insane.
Yeah, it is. He has been awesome. Turner, Harper, I mean, those are your 3 guys, right? That you're expecting to be your all-around 5-tool hitters this time of the year. Harper, Castellanos, and Trey Turner. You've got a guy who's hitting 500 with a 1455 OPS. The other one's hitting 368 with a 1380 OPS. The last one, he's hitting 391 with a 1440 OPS and set a record for being the only player in Major League history to hit 2 home runs in back-to-back games.
Multi home run games and back-to-back games in postseason, which I think that is I didn't even like that. I didn't think that was true for a little bit, because you think of all these incredible home run hitters that have played this game: Babe Ruth, Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds, David Ortiz, and the first guy to do it is Nick Castellanos. Wow. I mean, and then also Trey Turner, 4 for 4 in game 4. A lot of 4s in that one. First Philly to ever have 4 hits in a postseason game. First ever. With Mike Schmidt, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I got nothing to complain about today, which is rare for me.
Wow.
I mean, the bullpen has been outstanding, from your top guys to the guys who've been eating some innings for us. The offense has done everything they've needed to do. Starting pitching, I actually don't think you could ask for anything more. Like, I can't even think of one. All 3 of those guys were 10 out of 10, 100% A+. And truthfully, Rob Thompson.
Yeah, I mean,
again,
wow.
Managed an incredible series.
He in game 1, he managed the living crap out of that game. He pulled Ranger Suarez through 3 2/3, and he was just clicking all the right buttons. Game 2, not so much. But I want to stay positive in this podcast. I could go off the rails about that game, but the Phillies won the series. That game is irrelevant. And it's just last night, especially when Strom came into the game and he put Kimber out there for an extra inning. All these, I just have to stop just thinking that I just need to trust Rob Thompson. And I've been trying to tell myself this for the last year. And I think I've officially accepted that I'm no longer going to ever complain or ask questions about what Rob Thompson does and just ride with Philly Rob. Because, man, all he does is click the right buttons at the right time. You saw it with Matt Strom in the 9th inning of Game 4. I did not think Strom was going to go out there. I was thinking maybe Jeff Hoffman could go out there, get a little bit of a revenge. You could put Orion Kirkring out there. I bet Orion Kirkring's dead after Game 3, by the way. But just all of these like insane like moves that you just aren't expecting. Rob Thompson's doing those, and they're all working. And it is really, it's very impressive, and it's incredible.
So I told you I couldn't find anything to complain about, but I think I lied to you.
Oh,
so, no, it's not about the Phillies.
Oh,
well, kind of. It's sort of. So you mentioned how we have to trust Rob Thompson. He makes all the right decisions, etc. But so I don't think it's far-fetched to say that his style of management in Game 1 was atypical for Thompson, atypical for the Phillies, and pretty out of the ordinary. If that completely backfired, what do you think would be happening to Rob Thompson right now?
Well, the Phillies lose that Game 1, then they lose. I think it's a different story in Game 2. I think they come out and win that game, and they still win this series because Atlanta was not winning in Philadelphia. I don't know why I said Philadelphia like that. That was weird. But I just don't think it would have mattered because I still think the Phillies win this series even with a Game 1 loss. So, yeah, make that
bold.
face. Yeah, the Phillies were winning that. The Phillies, this team has it, man. This team has it. They are so good when they get, as Nick Castellanos said, they are play their best when they get punched in the mouth. And they got punched in the face Game 2. They would have gotten punched in their face Game 1, and they would have came out Game 2 and win that game, to win 3 straight, and we would have had the same story. So, I think unless, God forbid, something happens in that Game 2 and the Phillies go down 0-2, Rob Thompson might be it might be a little iffy. We might be playing a game on Saturday, but we're not. And I don't want to look at it like if something happened in that Game 1. I want to look at it how it is. The Phillies won. Rob Thompson clicked the right buttons at the right time, and the Phillies go to the National League Championship Series for the 2nd straight year.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest issue with the Braves was this week?
I mean, other than Game 3, I think their pitching was fine.
I mean, Strider was great.
Strider was very good. It wasn't normal Spencer Strider, but he gave up.
I think Game 1 was normal.
Game 1 he was good. He gave up the 2 runs. There was nothing really he could do against Harper. He kind of owned Strider, and then like first inning, RBI, whatever. But other than that, Strider was really, really good. He only made a few 2 mistakes in that game.
1 earned run, I think so.
Yeah, and then Game 4, he I just think the crowd. I think he still pitched good, but he only got through 5 1/3, and the crowd
5 2/3. Yeah,
5 2/3. The crowd got to him. He said multiple times he doesn't like crowd noise, which is interesting. But I think he pitched good enough to put the Braves in a position to win. So the pitching was fine. The Braves offense completely died in this series again.
Yeah, it was strange. It was really strange. They were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in Game number 4. They left 8 guys on base. There was the Riley home run. Sean Murphy had a couple total bases. Same with Olsen, Riley. But they've had some real killer plays. I mean, Acuna Jr. left 3 runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Vaughn Grissom left runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Ozuna had a costly double play. I mean, they couldn't get anything going for them throughout the series. And again, like you said it, I'm going to say it again. Spencer Strider pitched very, very well. Very well. There was nothing more that he could have done in game 1. And sure, he wasn't fully on his game yesterday, but the Braves should still be able to compensate for 3 runs. I mean, he pitched into the 6th inning. He allowed 3 runs for a team that, like you said it too, the quote unquote best offense in baseball history. Really should have been able to outperform the Phillies. I mean, the Phillies offense was good. It wasn't great. They had that one big game. That was awesome. With 3 runs, 4 runs. This is on the Braves.
I think the Phillies won this series. The Braves
100%. They outplayed the Braves. Their pitching
the Phillies
was great.
absolutely outplayed the Braves. The Phillies, and we can't just say like the Braves offense is why they lost the game. No, the Phillies pitching was really freaking good. And as nervous as I was against the Braves, which I wasn't crazy nervous because I know how the Braves are and I know how the Phillies are, and I've been very confident about this team in the last 2 seasons. I just think the Phillies pitching outpitched the Braves offense, which is, if you told me that would happen earlier this season, I would have said you're crazy. But the Phillies pitching won them this series. And also, a comment about Ronald Acuna Jr. Something happens to him in the postseason where he is just not. It looks like he's playing in April. He wasn't hustling to first base. He didn't really look serious at the plate. And it was just, I felt like an MVP produces. I know the MVP is a regular season award, which I think is ridiculous. But the MVP is a regular season award.
Why is that ridiculous?
Because they should take postseason into consideration. An MVP gets RBIs in the postseason. An MVP doesn't just produce. Well, that's
Bryce
also.
Harper.
I don't think Bryce Harper should have won the MVP in 2021.
Really?
As much as I love Bryce Harper,
So then who should it have been?
I don't know. I have to go back and look back at that season, but I don't know. I'd have to look back.
So hold on. So you're saying if there is a clear-cut winner during the regular season, that person could get bumped out by someone who performs well in the postseason?
Hey,
player who performed well in the regular season doesn't have the opportunity to perform well in the postseason.
Well, then it's different. But
how's that different?
Well, Shohei Ohtani is a different story. But Acuna, with one of the best teams in MLB history, facing the Phillies, and a series they're expected to win, and him not getting a single RBI, he had about 2 hits. Did he steal a base all series?
No, I don't think so.
Acuna had a terrible series, again, against the Phillies. So, a real MVP steps up and makes things happen. Acuna did not do that. Although he might have in game 4 against Kimbrel to end the 7th inning, but Johan Rojas is just the man out there in center field. What a catch, crashing into the wall. If there's anybody else out there, that's probably a 3-run double, and maybe we have a different story. But Acuna got unlucky. He hit it to the wrong guy out there. But Acuna needs to deliver. And also, I think this is a good time to segue into Attaboy, Orlando Arcia. The guy, he's an idiot. The one guy you can't fire up is Bryce Harper, because he will tear you down, and that's exactly what he did, rounding the bases twice in game 3.
That whole thing was weird. So I don't know. I didn't think the comment was overly egregious when it started. Like, this isn't something that if someone was like, "Attaboy, Colin," I don't think I would have been wildly offended. I mean, now, also, I don't get like that very easily, so I might not be the best basis for that. But the whole, we I should be able to say things in the locker room when there are reporters there and then them not getting reported. That was ridiculous. First of all, anyone who I can't even take this conversation seriously. Anyone who uses the "you need to let me do my job" is the most ridiculous thing. Because the people in there that aren't wearing a uniform, that are in the suits and are covering the team and are part of the press, have a job to do too. Like if Ronald or RC, if Arcia goes out and hits 189 next season, can't make a play to save his life, he's going to lose his job.
Yep.
If a reporter is not reporting on the right stories or isn't reporting on anything at all, they're going to lose their job. So that is ridiculous. Secondly, it's not like there is no work environment. Now I'm getting very general here, but this needs to be addressed. There is no work environment where it's like a quote unquote safe space. Like, you can't just walk into the break room and say bad things about your manager and then expect that to not get, I don't even care who, your manager, your CEO, and then expect it not to get back to that person. Come on now. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, also
wait until you get home.
Yeah, something that we know in our business, I've learned the hard way. When there's mics on, the mic is hot, and there were microphones in that clubhouse that were on. There's reporters doing their job, and it's just, I mean, if he was
ignorant, it's really ignorant.
Yeah, and then did you see what he was doing in Game 4? He was going back at the Phillies fans in the dugout. Like, man, the guy is, I get he's a rookie, but what
Arcia?
What are
No, Arcia's not a rookie.
Oh, he's not? What is he?
No, you're thinking of Grissom. Arcia's been in the league for like 8 years, I think. He played the Brewers beforehand.
All right, so he's just an idiot. It's like it's a weird situation because it's just how do you need to know like when to filter on and filter off, especially with media. And to say that the clubhouse is a sanctuary, it's not a sanctuary when you have 50 members of the media in your clubhouse. It's just like, come on. It's like, come on.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. Like, just because you're a baseball player doesn't mean that your work environment's different. Like, sure, do you have a cool job? Yeah, you do. Are you better than a lot of people athletically? Sure, but you still have you very similar work environments to everyone else. So you do not get an exception. You are not at a higher level than the people that are also trying to do their jobs in the same environment. That made me super frustrated. I honestly could not care less about the comment. I'm sure that stuff gets said all the time just because it's the Phillies and the Braves, because it's Bryce Harper and the Braves, because it's the postseason. It was more.
There's more cover.
More regarded, but his response was very, very ignorant.
Yeah, and it got to Harper, and man, did he take advantage of it. Game 3, the first game back, he hits the ball off the facing of the third deck. Then he hits another one into the bushes in center field. Both times he stares down Arcia rounding second base. And wow, what a post-game interview from Bryce Harper after that game. Just so many iconic quotes came out of that. And I forget who put it out. I think Jack Fritz put it out. But that stare down photo is our generation's Allen Iverson step-up picture.
Pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, and to say I was there to see it was I didn't even realize that that he stared him down when I was there because I was too busy celebrating. I didn't even look at him around the bases. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
What was your take on Snicker having Vaughn Grissom pinch hit to end the game last night?
Waving the white flag is how I took that one. I didn't really take it seriously. And that's kind of when I started to get my final score post ready and begin celebrating. But that was I don't get it. There's still a game going on. There's still a chance you can win this game. The runner's on, and Matt Straub's not the greatest pitcher in the world. I don't know. It was bad management is what basically.
Well, I mean, yeah, and obviously the Grissom move wasn't the bad management. There is the fact that he had 4 people penciled into that spot in the lineup throughout the game, right? Because Harris started in center field, they pinch hit d'Arnaud, and they brought in Nicky Lopez. It's a mess, right? In the postseason, he clearly did not think ahead because you'd much rather have Harris or d'Arnaud hitting in that spot than Grissom or Nicky Lopez. And Nicky Lopez doesn't know how to hit, unfortunately. That was their trade deadline acquisition. They acquired Lopez from the Royals. He's a veteran infielder. d'Arnaud, again, not really sure what the point is, like that he walked and then got immediately taken out of the game for a pinch runner. Also not sure what their plan was if they had to use another catcher. So, I mean, it was some really, really dumb management. Snicker also used the exact same relievers over and over again throughout the series. So I definitely think that helped the Phillies knowing what they were going to see out of guys like Pierce Johnson and AJ Minter, who they faced a lot during the regular season. Like, there were guys that I think are very good or have the potential to be good in the Braves bullpen. They could have mixed in there and showed some different pitches, some different angles, some different looks. And they just kept trying out the same guys that I'm sure they've read dozens and dozens of heat charts and maps and scattering reports on. So, yeah. And then having forced Walgrau into center field didn't make sense either, because his spot came back up in the lineup, which it did, and they had to have Rosario pinch hit. I don't know. It was really, really confusing, to say the least.
Yeah, Rob Thompson definitely managed.
He outmanaged him.
He completely outmanaged Pine-Secker. And I think that's also part of the reason the Phillies won the series. It's just the managing from Rob Thompson. And also I think I've officially proved to Colin that home field and the crowd.
You have done that, yeah.
It makes a difference. It absolutely makes a difference. Colin, explain your reasoning for me changing your mind. How did it happen?
I don't actually remember. I did have a good reason, and I can't remember what it was. Honestly, I think I feel like this is one of the more open Phillies teams we've had in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
I think there have been a lot more like moments to remember come out of this season. Like last year, obviously the Phillies were a very, very fun team to follow. You know, they were calling the Vibe Squad or whatever we were calling them last year. But this team is definitely more. I feel like I've seen more interviews and I've read more about the interconnections or the intra-connections within the Phillies, and I think it has. Yeah. And truthfully, I don't necessarily think that fans. Now I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. It's not 100% the fans. I think it's the players. I think it's the players feed off the fans, and fans feed off the players. It's a two-way thing.
Well, that's absolutely what happens. And that's why this team is built for Philadelphia. There's never been a team in Philadelphia that has been like this ever. Maybe except the 70s Flyers, who were all, they were the Broad Street Bullies. But this Phillies team is really what everybody in the lineup, 1 through 9, all starting pitchers, the whole bullpen, they are all made for Philadelphia. And Bryce Harper said it today.
You're right. So I've been thinking.
Oh no.
I've been thinking about this for the last 2 weeks, and I can't get it off my mind. So, yes, you are 100% right. This team is epic. I'm not even going to deny that. But there is no chance that all 26 of these guys, or I don't even know, let's say for the sake of this, we'll say all 40 of the guys, because, there's the guys who aren't on the roster right now, but they were for a good amount of the season or have been in the roster, like your Martes, Nick Nelsons, Weston Wilson, etc.
Yeah.
There has to be one who doesn't like it, who thinks that these guys are a whole bunch of obnoxious weirdos.
Oh, that's absolutely.
Who do you think that?
Absolutely, Nick Nelson. Absolutely.
You think it's Nick Nelson?
Absolutely, that guy's a weirdo. Or maybe
Why?
I don't know. It's just a random. But I just think everybody likes it. I don't think there's a single guy. I think
no, there has to be.
No, everybody
100% someone who thinks like the Phillies fans are annoying or Bryce Harper and his pandering's weird. No, there has to be someone.
When you've been there all season and you're in that dugout and you've played baseball your whole life waiting for this moment to have the crowd like this, it's like no everybody likes it. There's not a single guy on this team except maybe some guys that have passed through. Maybe Rodolfo Castro doesn't like it. But there's not a single guy that I don't know.
There has to be someone who thinks like Bryce Harper's a jerk. JT Realmuto is not the best catcher in baseball because he's not, but
Well,
come on now. I think we're past that. He's like 105. And there's Adley Rutschman, and, Will Smith and Sean Murphy, and
all right.
But there has to be someone, and I don't know who it is.
I can tell you right now that we love the Phillies fans because we are the Phillies fans, and you can be part of that home field advantage with buying your tickets on SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the sponsor of this podcast, and they're sponsoring episode. Guess what episode this is, Colin? We have made it
40, right?
We have made it to episode number 40 of the Bell Ringers podcast. We brought this back, what was it, last season, and we're up to 40, so that's very exciting. So SeatGeek, when you're buying your tickets, use code PhillySportsSport and save $20 off your first purchase. That's going to do it from us. We will be back with you for the NLCS preview as the Phillies take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Go follow us on all of our social medias. YouTube links in the description, Spotify, but wherever else you're listening. Philly Sports Sports, we're everywhere. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll be with you for the NLCS preview. Go Phils!
Go Phils. Thanks for listening, everybody.